Kelly here, and I'm back for another session of what is off with my painting? What's wrong with my painting? So thank you so much to everybody who submitted. This has been great fun, and I hope that it's been valuable for all of you. That is my goal, is to support you in your art and help you. The point of critiques is to help you see any blind spots that you might have, and help get you focused in the direction that would make the most difference in your work. Today, I'm excited because we actually have some landscapes and seascapes to look at here. So feel free to submit any kind of work that you want to, if you want to participate in these. We've got the link in the description below. And it does not just have to be still life. You can do landscape, interiors, whatever the case may be. Okay. And the other thing I would invite you to consider is just having an open beginner's mind and a genuine willingness and interest to learn whenever you submit these. So try to let your ego take a back seat, um, which I know it's hard for all of us, myself included, to do sometimes. So try not to send me stuff that is like really perfect work that obviously doesn't need to be critiqued. I may not even choose to critique those if that's the case. Like if you're just looking for a great job, and I will definitely give you a great job, keep going if that's you. So without further ado, we just have a few pieces on this one for landscape, and then one really interesting still life that I somehow didn't get into the mix on one of the other still lifes. So these two landscapes are by the same artist, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of do more of a compare and contrast, like why one might be working better than the other. So in my opinion, the piece on the right-hand side is definitely the stronger of the two paintings, and here's why. We have more temperature contrast in this piece. We have kind of more atmospheric. This painting looks a little more atmospheric with kind of softer edges in the background, and some more texture and sharper edges and contrast in the foreground. So I think overall, this painting is, on the stronger side in comparison to the one on the left. There's kind of more edge contrast and more color variety and color contrast in this one. This one here, I would say, to take what you did in the piece on the right and just apply it more to the piece on the left. So areas like that back horizon line of the water, basically it's like, okay, things that are working on the right-hand side, maybe we want to take and we want to do it on the right-hand painting, do it on the left-hand side painting. So maybe kind of softening some contrast back here in the water, maybe not putting in some of those water lines on the very back edge, could be going lighter, but just kind of in general, getting kind of a softer, fuzzier edge on that horizon line back here. But anytime we bring values kind of closer together, that automatically kind of softens that contrast there. And you can literally have like a softer edge contrast as well. One thing I really love about this artist's work is the boldness of their brush strokes. Their brushwork is really, really nice. And also overall pretty good sense of value contrast in both compositions. I do find, some of this area down here is a little bit confusing. I feel like this one just needs more resolving or more explanation as to what is this dark mass? Is this like a ledge? Some of these things maybe need just a more description for us to know what it is that we're looking at. Anytime we do have something that's kind of this close to the edge compositionally, I would consider, kind of taking it off the canvas. So like this rock edge, either that or like pulling it in further away from the edge. I don't think in this case it can pull in further because you have this nice stair step. If we pull it in further, then it might be too parallel with this top ledge. So maybe in this case, we just extend that, have it be cropped on the picture plane rather than ending so close and having like that negative space. That could also do a couple of things and just give you like another layer of space in the painting, or you could just bring this whole edge. I don't quite have the same color as you, but you could just bring, the other option would be to like, if that's getting too many little shapes up here and too many little broken pieces of shapes, you could also just bring that all the way down and not do the water in front to get a more distinct, simple, a more simplified breakup of space. So in landscape, we're always dealing with foreground, middle ground, background, right? And often the background is our sky, or if there's like, back hills against the sky. But sometimes the more complicated the breakup of those three planes in space in a landscape get, the more it kind of starts to fall apart visually. So I think that's part of why this one works so much stronger as well, because it's a very simplified breakup of space. We have a clear foreground with the horizon line of the grass, a middle ground, clear middle ground with the purple mountain, clear background. So I think in this case, it could just be simplifying this foreground a bit by bringing that, just extending that rock formation over. In both paintings, the other thing I would invite you to consider working on is concentrating on when we have all this foliage, right? And you've really got beautiful, strong, simple shapes, which are so lovely. But whenever we have like a mass of foliage, where is the front and center part of the form? So trees do have form, they're three-dimensional as we know. And so how can we kind of create more of that three-dimensionality? So I would consider doing more layering of your brushwork, kind of bringing in, maybe it's some brighter color on the interior of the form, like close to the center of the tree. The tree trunk here is doing a great job of kind of telling us, where the center line is of the tree on these aspens. But I would just consider like bringing in more overlaps of foliage, that are going to be more distinct, and it's going to give you more depth in that tree. It's really fantastic that this artist is seeing, the flat shape, the flat overall shape. And then in this one, we've got a couple of values going on, which is nice. And I think you can go further with that, kind of push maybe some more light or more distinct brushwork, on the front center of these forms. And then sometimes too, just kind of refining a bit by, maybe everything tapers in nature, gets narrower and narrower towards the top. Some of these tree forms, it's like, okay, this one's getting narrower at the bottom, and then it gets really wide here. So I think just kind of working on your form in general with these trees would be beneficial. So they tend to get, broader if that foliage goes all the way down to the ground. Whatever the starting foliage is tends to be broader, and then it gets narrower as it goes up. So that would be the last thing that I'm gonna mention to you. But really beautiful. I love both of those pieces. And this is a different artist that submitted. And it's a lovely little seascape here. Looks like, three little kids, playing in the water. It's, a scene we all know and love. And the biggest thing I'm going to say here is make sure that the reason why you painted the painting is taking up enough space. Okay, so last one of these that I filmed, I talked about sometimes, one of the things that artists will do is they'll have the subject matter take up all the space, right? And to take up too much space, have the star of the show, the reason for the painting take up too much space. And then in this case, I think it's really the opposite, what do you really, want us to be looking at here? I think anything that has human beings in it, we are going to want to focus on those human beings because we're human. And if there are humans in it, like they are here, I would consider kind of zooming in a little bit more and emphasizing the humanity more. So maybe just making your figures, take up a bit more space here instead of being, so small. So if we're gonna, I think it's a little bit different if we have like a bunch of people, but whenever we have three distinct individuals, I would just consider, maybe they go a little bit bigger, kind of like if you were to zoom in, and then consider bringing them in a little bit closer to, I think a little bit closer to each other as well. So just placement of your figures. This one, I think definitely bring it in a little bit closer here, like maybe this would be a good position so that we don't also have this one too close to the edge of the canvas. And since that one is kind of looking out of the canvas, it can be a little dangerous as well, because, the viewer might just, follow that figure right out the canvas. But I don't think that's so much of a big deal. I think just kind of making these figures take up more space and have more presence. I'm just kind of erasing. um, would make for a stronger painting in this case. So in every painting, we're asking like, what is the point of the painting? What is the main thing that people are going to look at? And so make sure that that is not too small is what I would say. Because we're not going to lose the sense of like this being a grand, vast ocean just by doubling the size of the figures, because they were so small that even whenever we double the size of the figures, they still are small in comparison to the ocean. So that is my feedback on this one. I hope that that helps. Finding that kind of Goldilocks, this is just right in size, can really be a skill set to try to develop, to work towards developing. So, okay, next up we have this still life, this very interesting still life in the bathroom, it looks like it's called. And I meant to put this in with another group of still lifes that we had, like a series of very simple still lifes that got submitted. This one kind of fit in more with that theme. So I wish I could have got it in with that theme, but I didn't want to miss it because I think it's a really interesting painting to talk about. So I love that this artist has chosen something, so humble and simple to choose as their still life painting. With that being said, I think the main thing to consider here is why would anybody want to buy this painting, want to stand and look at this painting for a long time, right? Or at least longer than just like a brief second, right? So we do have to kind of consider like, what is the point of the painting? And if it is a really humble, sometimes you might even call it an ugly or not beautiful scene, right? Like a toilet or a bathtub or just a simple wall. How can you either make it more interesting to look at as a painting, or how can you make it more beautiful? However, whatever way works with your mindset. But with art, we're seeking to find what is the thing about this subject, or how can I paint this subject? Because it's not always about what we paint, but how we paint it. What are the qualities that I really want to draw attention to here? What do I really want to bring out in the subject? Otherwise, it can end up just looking like this is just a study that I did to study form or to study my drawing skills or to study value contrast, which is fine if it's, you're just trying to build that skill set. You're studying and you're trying to build the skill set of improving your values or your color mixing or your form building or your value contrast, so on and so forth. But I would, anyone who's out there painting subject matter like this, really challenge yourself. I think doing subjects like this can really be good practice because even like once you get the drawing, the form, like this artist has, right? Once you get those fundamentals in, why does the painting exist, right? Like, what is going to make me really engaged with this painting? And you, as the artist, engaged with this painting. So like what else can I put in here to make it most interesting? My eye, whenever I look at this, the only place that I really start to go to and get more engaged is right in this zone, like where there's more contrast and there's like these brushstrokes of color. So really question and see like, how can I get more contrast in this painting? Can I get more paint quality contrast, to make this painting even more exciting and engaging? Instead of having a highlight this light's all blended in, maybe I have, a stronger brushstroke like I do here or here. Thin versus thick, that's one contrast. Dark versus light. Can I push the darks, even a little bit darker to get more contrast? Can I make this back edge, darker against the background, for example, without it taking away from it looking like chrome or shine. So contrast, really looking for contrast. Value contrast, edge contrast, sharp versus soft, color contrast, paint quality, I would say would be a big one with this one since there's not a lot of color present in this painting, definitely using edges and color contrast. And when I say color contrast, I also don't just mean like, oh, blue versus orange. And in a way I do, right? Because that's cool versus warm. So sometimes it can be playing up cool, very subtle, like cool versus warm. Like maybe instead of just white, I play up, maybe some warmth in these highlights. And then I play up some of the cools, like what this artist has here in these, in some of these halftones, like maybe pushing more of that cool in there to make this even more engaging, even more interesting. Maybe, maybe there's something as simple as like, a drip of water, coming over the edge or something. What else? That's for you to answer, right? But that's what I would be asking myself with a painting like this. What's going to take this from a technical study, a study of the techniques to a study of art, right? Like a study of how do I turn this into a work of art? How do I make it more interesting? And really that goes to the transition from here to here, from just studying fundamentals to higher art making is, really focusing on design principles. So focusing on those contrasts and if you look up, principles of design, you'll start to see words like pattern and rhythm and repetition, and you'll start to see words like emphasis, so really starting to think less about the technical fundamental in terms of drawing and creating form and creating representational three-dimensional looking shapes on a canvas into now how do I take that skill set and add to it, right? So that all my paintings don't just look like most of my beginning paintings started out as like, here's a simple painting of an apple or a pear, because that's where most of us have to start. We're just trying to learn how to make the thing look like the thing, look like a pretend thing, like a three-dimensional thing on a 2D surface, right? So eventually you want to start, pushing yourself to be thinking about just aesthetics, aesthetics of the whole picture, and how can you make it more make the design stronger. How do you make the painting more of a work of art and more than just a study, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So let me know in the comments below, everybody, what was your big key takeaway from this rapid fire critique. And you are welcome to participate. It's absolutely free. You can submit anonymously in the link below in the description box. And for those of you who are getting a lot out of these, please hit subscribe and like this video. I have a goal to hit 100,000 followers this year, and I need your help to do that. And also, if you're interested in studying with me full-time online, go to artlifewithkelly.com, Kelly with an I.com, and check out the Art Life School community. It's a really amazing opportunity where you can get fresh new instruction every single week, every single month inside the Art Life School. So the link is there. You can go check it out and get signed up. It's a month-to-month membership. All right, everybody, until next time, I'm wishing you all happy painting. Bye for now.